This is the Variety Sports Network, created for the fans, by the fans. Now to your host of tonight's show.
And welcome to FatboyFadeAway Sports Podcast. Joining you here Sunday morning, episode 154 at the halftime of Falcons Jaguars. So we might get a big audience today. Who knows after this first half that we just saw there. I will say this: they're doing that thing with the Toy Story, version we were talking about before he came on. Like they're putting the game on kind of simulcast with like a Toy Story type background. And Tyler, how we doing out there? Good morning out there. And Tyler, I'll be talking about you in just a second here. But with the Toy Story thing, Derek is loving it. He's actually watching it. They're in a halftime show right now in Toy Story figures. For me, if you're a business person, that's probably a good decision there. Like, because you at least are getting kids to watch that would never watch at all.
I guess it's somewhat like the slime time thing they do.
Yeah, they tried it on Nickelodeon. This one's even a little bit more different. I actually kind of like it because I don't really get the ESPN Plus, so I'm at least being able to watch the game on the TV screen. Tyler has a headache right now. We got to shout you out, Tyler. I was gonna give you a little shout out here. He's out in Lake Tahoe. Brian doing this bachelor party out there. I could not make it out there this weekend, so it was quite the group picture I saw.
Did Howie make an appearance?
Would Tyler invite Howie?
I don't know. I mean, I'm just thinking maybe Ryan McGurk went. Maybe he.
Well, Ryan probably. This is Tyler's bachelor party, so I bet he guessed Tyler probably not went to it. So he had Tyler that went. I think Xano. He had Frankie. He had a few other guys. So I'm sure he's fatigued. Let's put it that way. After an evening out, probably. I know he's been playing a ton of golf too. So I think they were going to Harrah's out there in Lake Tahoe last night. So Tyler, shout out to you. Looking forward to getting you back on the show here soon. Shout out to our guy P Shark. Big shout out to him from Let's Be Real podcast. He was one of the first interviews we had with somebody. He's out of Tennessee and he got hired to do some beat writing for the Memphis Grizzlies for a network out there. So yeah, that was really
Congrats to him.
Yeah, absolutely. I got to go on his AFC West preview show that he does about a month ago. So that was fun doing that. So big shout out to our guy P Shark here. That's been obviously a big friend of the FatboyFadeAway.
Maybe one of these days I can replace Grant Cohen as a beat writer because nobody likes it.
You have to keep writing articles every day, Brian. That's the problem. You have to write every day.
My punctuation's not the best. So.
Well, you got to write. You could a lot of that stuff now. You can just put it into your phone, right? You can just kind of get away.
Oh yeah, they automatically do it.
Yeah, they already have things you can say basically right away with that. So Tyler, shout out to you. Shout out to our guy P Shark. That was pretty cool. So I thought that was big. That was pretty awesome news this week heading into it. Shout out to this other show, the other sports show. They usually follow us on Twitter a lot. I know they commented on Twitter. They have a great show too. They were talking about the Canelo fight probably yesterday, or talking about the Canelo fight that went on yesterday in their latest podcast. So. It was good. It's a good show, and especially if you're a fighting fan too, it's made me a lot smarter with it. So I got to shout them out. They always shout me out as well there with it. And then Brian, I was going to bring up too. I think with FatboyFadeAway Sports Podcast, I had it on the thing, taking a break. So I think what I mean by that is after today's episode, we're probably not going to be doing it every Sunday morning anymore. It might be more sporadic. Maybe it might be like on an evening or maybe just a short little show. But I think it's time for just a little breather, especially for me on this show, considering all the other things I've been kind of doing. So I feel like I'm just going to take a little break for a little bit on the FatboyFadeAway Sports. We'll probably come back, hopefully refreshed and maybe full like around November, the beginning of November. But we'll still be doing our Talk of the Gridiron. We'll still be doing some of our other shows on Variety Sports Network. But I think we just kind of need a refresher. I think the views tell us we need a refresher. I need to kind of get some things dialed in. I'm pretty busy too with other stuff. So I think it's good. I appreciate anybody that's really ever supported our podcast. My guy's Ant as well. I always appreciate my guy Savage, Street Hardaway, Brian, of course, you coming on with me every week and doing all the other shows too with me. So I think it'll be good for us just to kind of reboot a little bit, come back in a month, and we'll kind of be like nice and refreshed here for the finishing part NFL, and we got basketball, of course, Brian's favorite sport, is starting up there in a little bit. So I think that'll be the plan. I'll probably touch on it more as we go. But like I said, we'll probably still be doing some sporadic videos. They'll just be a little bit shorter and probably more reactionary during this next month. So with that said, though, we still got a show to hear we're going to do today. And Brian, we got week 4, obviously, we're going to get into as well. I know you're big into that. I know we got Jimmy G out today for my Raiders. But I still like my Raiders to maybe beat the Chargers, because the Chargers, you never know what you're going to get.
Yeah, I mean, it's like a mixed bag of results. It could be one game they look great, and then another game that they're just not getting the offense going. It's just it can be very inconsistent team.
No, it can be inconsistent, and so that will be the one thing that happens today in the game. We'll see with Aiden O'Connell in the game if that act. My dad loved it with the preseason. My dad always loved it. My favorite guy, Andrew Walter. We'll see if he loved Andrew Walter, fan of Arizona State from 20 years ago. So yeah. So that's where we're at with that. We're getting into week 4. Like I said, we're going to be taking a break here on the pod. So in a little bit. So this will be our last one for about a month here. So we're going to go hot, strong here. So Brian, we said week 4 with it. But can I start with Gabe Kapler real quick? Can we really start the show off with a Giants, a baseball one? Because he gets fired from the Giants. And Tyler's not on, obviously, to talk too much about it. But it got me thinking about, okay, he had that great first year, and it was really had that great first half. Like, I mean, I forget what their actual record was in the first half, but they were like 30 games over 500 in the first half going into that All-Star break. And they kind of played either 500 ball or less the rest of his tenure as a coach. He got a 4-year run, made the playoffs once, lost to the Dodgers in that playoff round. Who can you think of us of some other Bay Area all-time worst coaches? So, like, any type of coach, it could be college, whatever, it doesn't matter. Who are some coaches that kind of come to your mind when you're thinking, like, Bay Area's all-time worst? I got to be honest, I did look at the Giants. I'm sure that I know there were some seasons that they were bad, but the Giants always seem to keep their managers for kind of a while. So, like, I don't know, like, Roger Craig got a losing record, but he did take him to the World Series that one year. So it was kind of hard for me to pick the Giants one necessarily out. But Kapler, he ended up 20 games over 500 for whatever that's worth as well. But you got some other Bay Area worst coaches possibly?
I would definitely say Chip Kelly with the 49ers.
Now, what went wrong with Chip? Because was it just bad timing?
I think they originally brought him in because they were trying to see if they could get something else out of Kaepernick. And at that point, it's like the league had figured him out, and he just couldn't get anything out of him. That was like when Harbaugh had departed.
Yeah, that's right. It was and Kelly was there for 2 years, right?
Yeah, he was there 2 years. It was kind of funny. York went on like a firing binge. Like I think they went. Remember that defensive coordinator they had for a little bit? What was his name? I'm trying to remember. Tom Zula. I think he fired Tom Zula, and then he got Chip Kelly, and then that lasted 2 years, and he fired Chip Kelly.
Yeah, the Niners have had a few run of bad coaches. Obviously, you had the great ones in Walsh and Seifert and Mariucci. Yeah, just kidding.
Yeah, I mean that was a mistake firing Mariucci and bringing.
He wasn't that great. He wasn't
Dennis Erickson.
He wasn't considered a great coach though. But if I go to worst coaches, how would is Mike Singletary there? Is he okay? Does it count?
He was an okay coach because it felt like he motivated Vernon Davis. He kind of turned it around.
So because he motivated Vernon Davis, that basically makes this 2 years of football okay. I mean, you guys were 500 the one year, then you went like what 4-12 the next year, I think.
Yeah, I mean, I think those teams just had bad talent. I mean,
you had Alex Smith, Vernon Davis. Come on, you had some talent there, and then you bring in Harbaugh. So all right, Singletary maybe be a little hard on him there. How about Mike Nolan?
Oh yeah, he was one of the worst coaches because I think he vocally went out and called Alex Smith a pussy or something during a press conference. He shouldn't have done that.
No, you never want to use that type of language to your starting quarterback whatsoever there. So Mike Nolan, though, but wasn't he known for he wanted to wear the suits though, so that was always important.
Yeah, he always wore the suits.
That's funny. So who else do you think on some of the worst Bay Area coaches? Who else comes to your mind? If it's not even the Niners.
I mean, we could even go back to definitely the Warriors. They've had some bad coaches.
We could go to the Warriors for sure if you want to go there. I'm surprised you want to go to the Warriors, actually. Yeah, the Warriors have had some really bad coaches over the years. I was going to go Raiders first. What did you think of Lane Kiffin? Remember that one?
Oh yeah, did that only last 1 year?
That lasted not even a year.
Not
Remember
even a year.
and then he goes for the 73-yard field goal attempt with Sebastian Janikowski. And that was like, to me, I was like, oh boy, we're in trouble after this. We are in trouble after this.
And then they had Dennis Allen.
Dennis Allen was on there. Yep, Dell House was on there. He was definitely not one of the good coaches. Even though, like, again, not set up well for him. Bill Callahan is on that list. I don't even care if he got him to the Super Bowl. He was terrible the next year. He was so bad as a coach the next year.
Who was the coach when Jamarcus Russell was there?
Who they have? They had Norvell Turner was there for a little bit. North Turner. They've rotated a lot of guys. I think Dennis Allen was there when they got Carr. And then they ended up with he kind of reminds me of Tom Sula. He was the offensive lineman. The big Tom Cable.
Tom Cable, yeah.
He was also the man. He's one of those ones that come to my mind too, where I'm like, how the heck did he get a job? I mean, also the worst one for me, and I felt bad for him because he did good the first time he was with the Raiders, was Art Shell, but the second time he came back, that might have been the worst team of all time. I think he was the coach and Lane Kiffin was the coach, and Tom Cable was during that Jackson era. And then we ended up with Hugh Jackson. Then we had that.
Hugh Jackson.
Yeah, we had Tony Sperano, who actually did pretty good for a little bit. So I don't know. The Raiders have been through everybody as a head coach. The Warriors, on the other hand, they had some other ones. To me, one of the worst was Gary St. Jean. Never was a big fan of.
Oh yeah.
DJ Carlissimo, he goes on the list as well of a couple bad ones. They just never could get. Mike Montgomery was awful too. And then I was thinking college coaches, the guy that the Cal Bears had for basketball. The last couple of years, what he go 1-46, so he definitely goes on that list as well of bad coaches on that list. And maybe the coach right now in Stanford who lost to Sac State, Taylor, he's not able to put it right now. If he can't start winning games, they just got crushed yesterday, 42-6 by Oregon. Not shocked, but 6 points at home. So I thought it'd be fun to have kind of a Bay Area's worst discussion, just to kind of get a little, kind of like. Because with Kapler going down, it kind of makes you think about all the good teams we actually have around here. We haven't had some awful managers, but if you look at all the teams, they're pretty bad. The A's, I go to Bob Guerin. He's kind of the first name that sticks to my head. You remember him at all?
Yeah, Bob Guerin. Yeah.
He was so boring too. Like there was nothing even about him.
Yeah, I mean, he was just like I don't know. He seemed like
you can't think of any other managers. Or coaches?
I know. I'm thinking when Mark McGuire got traded, the manager they had then.
Oh, well, that was still LaRussa at the time, I think, and then they
LaRussa.
Then they ended up they ended up getting rid of LaRussa to get Art Howe at 97. All right, so that was enough on that. We got the Bucks there with it. Like I said, Raiders starting O'Connell today. What do you think about the Niners' chances against the Cardinals here as we move to Week 4?
Well, we got some good news. Debo's expected to play. He hadn't been practicing all week, and I guess he had some workout and he looked good. So they're going to go with Debo, but no Jennings or Eli Mitchell.
Do you think this is even like a trap game at all, or do you think you guys are going to be ready to go?
No, I think they kind of looked at how Dallas played them, and they kind of know that they can't play like that. It just doesn't seem like. I just feel like we're not going to have a letdown in this game.
No, I could hear you on that. I was putting up the Falcons-Jaguars game here. Jaguars do get a touchdown. Ritter goes to Drake London for a touchdown. So any fantasy players out there, there's Drake London getting a touchdown for you. 17-7. It's
like, come on, you got to go with Bijan right there. What are you doing?
Well, I thought you had Drake London too. No.
No
Drake London. No. Ritter threw the touchdown though. You got to be impressed with that on the way there. So you got that. We'll leave that up there just for a little bit. All right. So Brian, Week 4 too. It says that Watson's out versus the Ravens. Does that make the Ravens obvious favorites now with no Chubb and Watson? They got to win this game, or is this one like?
Oh yeah.
It's very confusing.
Yeah, I mean, because they struggled against the Colts when they had God, I'm trying to think of that. Minshew. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. It just seems like Lamar can't go vertical, so the defense tries to take away that running game from him.
It's kind of a big game for them in the sense of like you have a chance now to get a win against your division opponent. You're probably, that you have a chance to might be there with you at the end. So I would say this is a kind of a big game for the Ravens. What's some of your biggest storylines going into Week 4?
Just it's kind of funny. You got 2-0-3 matchups, Chicago and Denver, and then the Vikings play. I'm trying to think of the team that they're playing.
Come on, Brian, get your head in the game today. What's going on with you? You know all this stuff by heart. The Panthers. The Carolina Panthers. The Panthers. How could you forget about that?
So which teams are going to get their first win of the year?
Yeah, what was you said the Broncos play the Bears. So, yeah, I guess one of those teams will get it. We expect the Eagles to crush the Guardians.
The Commanders.
I like to call them the Guardians.
And another, in my opinion, another bad Sunday night game, Jets versus Chiefs.
Why is that a bad game? You don't think Wilson has anything to give?
I think the Chiefs are just going to crush them. I just have no faith in Zach Wilson at this point.
Well, and I would say that's probably a good choice not to have any faith in Zach Wilson at this point. He's been absolutely terrible. I'd be surprised if they even get 14 points, wouldn't you?
Yeah, I mean, if Joe Namath is saying we need to move on to something else, that's not a good sign for Zach Wilson.
I would say that's a terrible sign for Zach Wilson. Do you think they trade for Cousins? I don't think that happens.
I mean, they might be to the point where the Vikings would just have to give up on the season. When it gets to that point, are the Jets even in it? Would it make sense for them to even deal for Cousins?
It would make more sense for a team like the Falcons.
Yeah.
Right? Let's say the Falcons let's say they're 3-3 or something like that, right? Like that would make more in the division like the NFC South. To me, that would make more sense to trade if you were going to upgrade at a position at quarterback. I don't think the Falcons would do that to give up the draft capital, but maybe they wouldn't have to give up that much either. Maybe if the Vikings are sitting 0-5, who knows?
Yeah, exactly.
They don't have that much leverage anymore unless they just let it play out. So you have that kind of going into Week 4 a little bit too.
Is Bryce Young supposed to go today for the Panthers?
No, I think he's still out today.
With a concussion still?
Yeah, I think he's still out I thought it was the foot. What do you think about the other game that's kind of probably the game of the day is Miami at Buffalo? I think Miami
that's the one I'm looking forward to the most, just because it should be a good game.
And they put up 70 points, man.
Offensive. Yeah, I know. I mean, I expect it to be down to the wire with these two teams.
Yeah. No, I would agree. That will be one we'll definitely be talking about tonight on the show for sure. All right, the last one I thought would be kind of a good one to go. You said the Sunday night one was bad. So let's say the other game. It's kind of interesting because the Cowboys kind of have been kind of weird this year. They lost to the Cardinals last week. Is there any way the Patriots could beat the Cowboys?
Yeah, I mean, it just seems like when you make Dak make big throws, he'll throw a pick, and it's just I don't know. It's just the offense have just not looked great this year. The Cowboys' offense.
Yeah. Transitioning over to you got anything other football wise real quick?
I mean, other than that, it just seems like the matchups are more,
not as good this week.
Not as good this week.
That doesn't mean the games won't be good, Johnson.
Yeah, I mean, they could be good games.
Yeah. Who knows? But we'll see. I think there's a couple ones I think you're kind of forgetting about. Like they could be like I know because the records don't say it necessarily, but like it's because like you don't look at like Philadelphia and Washington as a good game, right? And both teams are over 500. Mm-hmm. You look at New Orleans and Tampa Bay as a good game, and both teams are over 500, right?
Yeah, exactly.
I think that's part of it too. So
Derek Carr is going to go. So
yes, can't wait for that. That's great. That's exciting. So we got O'Connell going for the Raiders. I'll be dealing with that. All right, what do you think about real quick basketball, Brian? I think Dame to the Bucks. That's pretty good. We got a little thing there. I'll get into it more when Tyler gets back on my show a little bit, but I don't know what Phoenix was thinking. They just kind of I knew they were going to give up on Ayton, but I don't know, like getting Grayson Allen and Nurkic doesn't seem. I don't know. Maybe it just kind of clears the air in their locker room a little bit more than anything else. So from the Suns' standpoint, that was the most confusing part about the trade. Portland, I thought they made out okay. We'll see what happens with Drew Holiday. If they can keep him and he can play, that would be great for Portland. If they have to just buy him out, that would kind of suck. So I would think they would try to just hold on to him for a little bit or work out some sort of trade with somebody else. And then from obviously the Bucks standpoint, you got Lillard and Giannis now. So you got two weapons. You got the inside, you got the outside game. I mean, that's going to be pretty tough to stop. So that was some big news. Obviously, Johnson this week, that saga comes to an end where it looked like he was going to go to Miami, but ends up in frigid Milwaukee instead.
Yeah, I mean, it definitely shows the Bucks want to try to make another championship run with Giannis.
Especially with what Giannis has kind of been talking lately, where it's like,
Yeah.
So this is a win now move from the Bucks. So, the Bucks always have kind of a funny history of having fascinating trades to me. Like when they traded for like the Gary Payton trade, the Ray Allen trade, like that was kind of fast. The Sam Cassell trade. They've always had these interesting kind of point guard trades. Terrell Brandon, like they've always had these weird trades involving point guards over the years. Hey, baseball, the A's get their 50th win last night, Brian. They do make it happen. They do get to the 50 mark this year. I brought this up for on seventh inning stretch this week. The A's, at the moment, they are 50 and 111 now. That record should be, but they didn't even draw 900,000. What an absolute joke, the A's this year. Absolute joke. If they do get to 50 wins, though, I guess that you got to hold up our head high with that. They will have the worst record, but of course now baseball has a lottery, and the A's probably don't get the first pick.
Oh, so it's kind of like the NHL.
It's like all the sports almost now, that except for the NFL. Gotcha. There's a lottery now, I think, between the first 3-4 teams or something like that to get the first pick.
The Variety Sports Network was saying who's the most disappointing team, and I said the Mets and the Padres because I thought the A's were going to be bad this year, so that didn't shock me.
Yeah, that was an interesting segment this week on that show because we were talking about this morning, and you're like, you think about the obvious ones, like you said, the Pods and the Mets. The Padres are right up. I mean, they scored like 100 more runs than their opponent this year. They're not going to make the playoffs. I think they're the only team to do that this year.
I think it was that song that they played that jinxed them.
That rap song by those white guys. That never helps. Yeah, that never helps. We have old white guys rapping Padres songs. That's not going to help you win anything. That's for sure. The Orioles win the division. They end up clinching.
Yeah, they've been a surprise. I didn't think that team would win over 100 games.
Yeah, I didn't think they were going to be ready either. I thought that definitely wasn't going to be a team that wasn't going to be ready. I saw we also brought up that our guy Francona, he's calling it quits this year. He's calling it quits. He's been around the game forever, man.
Yeah, I mean, he's been, man.
Did you know he was the coach? Did you know he was the coach
with the Red Sox?
Did you know he was the coach of Michael Jordan?
Yeah, in high school baseball, right?
Minor leagues when he retired from basketball.
Oh yeah, I remember that.
He went to play for the Barons in the minor leagues. There, he was the manager there, Terry, or maybe the third base coach. I thought he was the manager, but he coached there. Michael Jordan. There's some good videos out there online of him and Michael Jordan exchanging on the baseball field. I thought some funny stuff too. I had was the Mets had the soggy field this week. A game had to be canceled because they forgot to put the tarp on, and they had a huge storm in New York. So I thought that was kind of funny that that went down. Brooks Robinson, third baseman, baseball. He passed away for the Orioles. 16 straight Gold Gloves. Gotta shout him out as well. We talked about it a little bit more on seventh inning stretch, but I mean, like I said, when you win 16 straight Gold Gloves at any position, I think Maddox won 18 straight at pitcher, which is the only other record that's higher. I mean, that's an insane record. He won an All-Star or won an MVP, won a World Series MVP. So Brooks Robinson passes away at age 86 for the Orioles there. So Brian, those were some of the diamond notes that we have with it. So staying on baseball today, being the last day of the regular season, you have legends calling it quits. You have Miguel Cabrera. Today will be his last game. Today will be his last game in the major leagues. Crazy that to think like me and you were watching games of him 2003 coming up with the Marlins, and this is where we're at 2023.
Yeah, I mean he's had a great career, and I mean, as good as he played in that one Cubs Marlins series, the Bartman game,
His rookie
all the way
year.
to here. So
Yeah, he
yeah,
was a stud
exactly.
there. He was a stud that year. It was like right away you knew he was going to be a beast because of that. Hey, so there's still a lot of things to be kind of decided in Major League Baseball, but like there are some like interesting match. Adams Rangers still, if they have to win today, because if they win or if they lose and the Astros win, and the Astros win the division, the Rangers won't get the bye. So still a lot to play for there. There's some wild card maneuvering that's on the line. I thought it was kind of cool. There was a stat where it's the no Yankees. It's the first time in like 25, 30 years that there's no Yankees, no Cardinals, or no Red Sox in the World Series or in the playoffs at the same time. I was like,
So
that's
it's
kind of nice.
something different.
Yeah, because those teams are always in it, right?
Yeah.
At least one of them.
So the playoff format's like you have two wild card matchups, and the winner of those play each other, and then they get to the division series.
Yeah, let me get it up on the screen here for you. So that's what it looks like right there, Brian. I don't know if you can see.
Gotcha.
So right now, that's what the standings would look like. But again, we could have the Astros and we could have the Rangers switch there. Then we also have you have the possibility. The team I'm always rooting for is the Brewers. Come playoff time, that's the team I always root for. Do you have a team that you're going to be pulling for?
I get it's like a bracket format. I see.
Yeah, it's always kind of like that. But now you have to like these first round matchups are best of 3.
Oh,
so
gotcha.
instead of a 1-game elimination, they play a best of 3 to play the next round.
Okay, I understand now.
So that's the difference. Where it used to be, remember where the A's used to get eliminated every year?
Yeah, when they played the Royals that year with, I still
Royals,
can't believe they traded Cespedes. What were you thinking?
Was it Royals, the Yankees, and the Rays all eliminated in about 1 game?
Yeah, exactly.
Pathetic. And then they go in and they beat the White Sox and they do the 2 out of 3 thing during the COVID year. And then they end up getting, what was it, like 4 sweat basically from the Astros. Yeah, that was disappointing. Another legend I was talking about that might be calling it quit, Brian, was Votto and Adam Wainwright. So 2 guys that have been around the league a while. So I wanted to shout those guys out.
And I know Votto was always your choice in the original 6.
He was a good player there. Who has the best home field advantage, you think, out of the teams remaining? I showed there on the playoffs. If we do that for question of the week here, what do you think?
I think the underrated home field advantage is I've seen their games is the Dodgers.
Wow, Josh Lewis also had that pick as well this week out of the teams remaining. I was saying it's kind of funny remember how like right now if the Twins were playing in the Metrodome, they'd have a home field advantage, right?
But they have that outdoor stadium now, so I don't know if that's a home field advantage anymore.
But it's so funny how it's like they got a nicer stadium, but like some people don't look at it as an advantage anymore.
Yeah, because I remember Game 7 of the '91 World Series. I think that it was so loud in there.
And then those damn choppers off the ground, damn choppers off the turf. Those were always killers. Yeah, those were some fun memories there but I was thinking that's kind of funny though. You take away that dome, you take away the AstroTurf, and you don't look at the Twins fan base necessarily as a home field advantage, right?
Yeah,
kind of funny
I'd probably say if the Blue Jays could make it to the division series, they can during the playoffs they get pretty loud.
I kind of feel like I think that's a good call. Rangers, I can't give the Rangers fans any. Can't give the Rangers fans. Sorry, Adam. Can't give you any love. I was saying the Astros probably just because of that. I don't really want to give their fans any credit, but that stupid park in that lunchbox area in the left field, like, that little that small porch over there. The Braves, I've never felt like the Braves have had a home field advantage.
No, because for a while there, like no one would show up to the World Series. Remember when they had those like great teams?
Yeah, well, that stadium though was terrible.
But
they had like a couple original ones that were pretty bad over there. So that's kind of funny. We had that D-backs I can't have there. So how about Orioles?
Yeah, I'd say the Orioles just because they're never in the playoffs a lot. So when they get in, I'm sure their fans are going to show up and be loud.
We'll see what happens, Johnson. We'll see what happens with that. So that's our question of the week here. Who's got the best home field advantage left in there with it? Brian, do you have an NBA fact of the week outside of the one I had?
I was not prepared, and I didn't have a
Do you agree with this? That Cam Ward is the best QB in the nation?
I don't know if I go that crazy. Come on.
Did you watch the Notre Dame game last night?
Yeah, I saw some of it, but I still think Caleb Williams is the.
You think he's the best?
Yeah, I think he's the best.
Well, it is nice when you have 98 seconds to throw back there too.
I could do it really quick for you. The NBA fact of the week.
Well, we can work out. This guy maybe has 4 ends. Cam Ward has 0, and Cam is 4-0. There you go, Johnson. That's a little kind of. What other game did you watch yesterday?
It was mostly USC Colorado, but I saw the Utah versus Oregon State beat Utah. That was a big game.
Oregon State. It's kind of weird when you see them as like kind of in anything, right? It's because they're like one of those like colleges that just don't ever seem to be in the mix, I guess. So it's kind of
right.
funny.
This is a negative for the Warriors, where they say that Draymond's supposed to miss 4 to 6 weeks with an ankle.
Well, I was trying to avoid that, Johnson. Thank you. Yes, now he's out. He's out for a little bit. Like everything with the Warriors lately, there's always some sort of hiccup at the beginning of the year. So we'll see what happens. Hey, at least Draymond didn't punch anybody in the face. That's the key.
Exactly.
He hasn't been able to sock anybody in the face, so that's good. He's only been able to, with a sprained ankle, he can't move that quick. So nothing like that will happen. He'll only be able to be verbal abusive.
Are we going to go to my favorite topic of the week? Favorite celebrity couples?
You want to go there? Let's do it. So I think this is a good time to go there. We were thinking about Kelce and Taylor. Did you see that was crazy last week?
Exactly.
Right? You had Taylor Swift up in the box, celebrating nonstop over there. And then you had Kelce waving to the box. You had Mahomes waving there. It was one of these kind of weird things like you just get with like a celebrity and a athlete. Sometimes it's kind of hard not to think that maybe, Brian, this is a publicity stunt as well. Just given the fact
but I'm probably freezing right now.
Yeah, you want me to remove you and then come back in? Can you hear me?
You're.
Uh-oh, Brian, this could be
you're
like that.
You're frozen on the screen.
This might be like the relationship, Brian. It might be broken up over there. So me and Brian, we'll see if we can get Brian's things worked out here. He was gonna say we were gonna do the Kelce and talking about Taylor Swift, the Swiftees. We're talking about how it's kind of crazy how they I was perfectly timed. I think she has a movie coming out here in a couple of weeks. I'm sure she'll get probably a nice, cool $150 million. In revenue from the movies there. But it got us thinking about like celebrities and athletes and just how that's always been, maybe not always a thing for all time, but it always feels like it has, like, going back to the original one where you had DiMaggio and you had Marilyn Monroe as one of your original athlete celebrity couples. Brian back with me. Brian, I was just kind of starting to go into my list of like maybe some all-time celebrity athlete combos. What do you got? You got any?
I got Sandra Bullock and Troy Aikman.
I didn't know about that one. That's a good one. I didn't know that.
Yeah, they dated one. They dated it in his early years with the Cowboys.
She had a need for speed. That's the way to do it. What was your next? Give me some other ones. What do you got?
I went with Jessica Simpson, Tony Romo. I mean, she ended up marrying that Eric Johnston tight end from the 49ers, but
tight ends, they're more reliable, I guess, in those QBs. That was the big difference there. That was a funny one. I do remember that one. Obviously, we had Brady and Giselle. That was obviously a huge one there. It's just kind of funny. Was it Madonna and Jose Canseco? Right? They dated.
And then I guess you could go Kim Kardashian and Reggie Bush.
We could probably just say any Kardashian and an athlete, right?
Exactly.
That was a good one. You had Lamar Odom, and that
was or Khloe Kardashian and James Harden.
Who was the white guy that Kardashian was with? He was like kind of a random basketball player. It was like Chris Humphries or something like that, wasn't it?
Somebody, she actually married Chris Humphries.
That was always a random one to me. But when you have but Taylor Swift's like an all-time, she's like one of the, like I said, she has like her own fan club here, like, like millions and millions and millions of people. And now she's going to little Kansas City, Missouri here for a game. Kind of crazy.
Yeah, I know. And
you think it's serious, or you think it's just a stunt?
I actually think they're actually dating.
All right. So you think if this was March, they would be dating?
Probably not. It's probably during the season type thing. But she was up there with the Kelce mom, so.
And the game is next week in New York, where she lives. So maybe there is
maybe she'll show up on Sunday Night Football.
I wouldn't be surprised. She has a movie coming out, Brian, in 2 weeks. I think this is a good timing as well. Don't you think?
So you think it's a publicity stunt by Kelce and by
I'm not saying it's a stunt. That's not what I'm saying. I'm just saying it's well timed. To say a lot of the publicness of it is well timed. Maybe if it was March, I'm not so sure this would be the case. So that's all I'm saying with it. So, but don't you think it's kind of funny how in America here, like there is always, or even probably the world, the celebrity and then the star athlete, right? There's always that kind of combination.
Exactly.
I'm sure we missed a ton of other ones that were also on that list as well.
I know Kendall Jenner dated Simmons.
Can we get out of the Kardashian family? Is that the only people we know? Are we aware of with connections here?
Yeah, exactly.
Every man on earth that's played athlete. That was an athlete. Was it Booker that was with the other one too? You said.
I was saying Simmons. Ben Simmons dated Kendall Jenner.
Wasn't Derek Jeter with Mariah Carey for a little bit?
Yeah, Derek Jeter with Mariah Carey.
We could throw Derek Jeter out there and a few other
and from the A's, Barry Zito dated God, I'm trying to remember her name. She was in the Charm show.
Was she in the? Yeah, I know who you're thinking about.
Remember Who's the Boss? The daughter.
Yeah. I do remember that. Yes. Okay.
Because she really likes baseball, so I guess they ended up dating.
And what's the Verlander one? Who's Verlander?
Verlander and Kate Upton are married.
It's like peanut butter and jelly, these things, right? They go hand in hand. That Draymond one, that was a good one with you, that one. As we're moving on from our celebrity couples there to see Taylor Swift. We'll see if she's at the Jets game tonight, Brian.
That would be crazy. That would definitely be interesting.
The NFL should take as much advantage as they can with it as they, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Definitely take as much as they can with it. But we got 17-7 here. Falcons still down by 10 here.
Yes.
Yep. So, all right. So we're getting too close to the end of the show here. Just a few other things I wanted to touch on just a little bit here before we go. Okay. So sports morning shows. I feel like they're completely changing now, right? Because like Stephen A's kind of thing's changing. They seem to have new guests on all the time. Like they have Sharp on for Monday, Tuesdays, and he goes to somebody else all during the week. And then you have like Skip Bayless, who I think has no idea what he's doing right now. He just has so many guys on right now. He probably should just focus on that one show he does by himself. Just turn it into that. I think they're trying to get him off the air too a little bit.
Yeah.
Which is, Skip is who he is. He's always been that way. Like not really. At times I liked it when he was on with Stephen A, but I've been over it for a while now. But then there was that weird exchange with Stephen A and Max Kellerman, and then you had like the Dan Le Batard. He always feels like he's just getting involved in every conversation with this stuff. Like, I don't know what's going on in the media. It's like a war right now for this stuff. Then you have Cowherd starting his own stuff, like his own network, and Draymond guarding that. Like, I don't know. Have you noticed anything with that? Do you even watch this stuff anymore?
Yeah, it's just Dan Le Batard always seems to kind of like he's always involved in the drama somehow because he's always out in Miami.
But what do you think about the Stephen A. Max thing? Do you think about that? Do you watch any of those things? Like, do you watch First Take?
Not really. When I was
Undisputed, or is it just because you won't now?
I mean, I usually work in the morning, so I don't get a chance to watch those shows. So.
And you're not listening to their podcasts or anything, then?
No, I mean, I don't know. I just think I don't know Stephen A. Smith and those guys. I'm not too interested in what they're saying anymore.
That's why you go to Fatboy Fadeaway Sports, people. That is why you do it. You go there for the knowledge there. Brian, I see that you got the poster behind you now this time. That's good. You got your.
I didn't want to get about my white wall.
The white walls. We got to get over that one. Desmond Howard.
Eric Armstead is the player for October.
That's good to know. A little a shout out to the past, the Niners there. What do you got for? I got Desmond Howard defending Lou Holtz. Remember Lou Holtz took a shot at Ryan Day, or then Ryan Day took a shot at. He goes, "You don't take a shot at the elderly like that." So Desmond Howard defending the elderly. Brian, that was a story this week as well. What do you got for winners and losers, Johnson?
I'm gonna go winner of the week, the Milwaukee Bucks organization for getting Damian Lillard, and they're gonna make a push for the NBA Finals again.
I'm gonna go Bruce Bochy, back in it after retiring. The Giants can't make the playoffs. Bochy comes back in, gets in right away with the Rangers. Maybe today clinches the AL West today with them. So I had to go winner of the week. The Rangers, as a team, just staying resilient through a very weird month of baseball, 2 months of baseball. And Bochy, of course, winner of the week. I got loser of the week. Brian, you got loser of the week here?
Yeah, I'm going to go with Antonio Brown in the headlines again, saying he wants to go help out Chandler Jones. And if I wouldn't want Antonio Brown anywhere near me for mental health solutions.
Yeah, that whole thing is sad with Chandler Jones, man.
Yeah.
Really sad with that. So I'm not sure what to really even make of it. I haven't looked too deep into it, but obviously him not showing up to Raiders camp, not agreeing with the contract, and kind of falling off the deep end there a little bit. Loser of the week for me, I had Cubs, Mariners, kind of falling out at the end. Ritter after the first half. That's all I had for that. And then Tim Wakefield, I thought that there was sad news. He got diagnosed with brain cancer. If anybody remembers Tim Wakefield, he was the knuckleball pitcher for the Pirates, and a lot of people remember him obviously with the Red Sox for most of his career, and won the World Series with them. He was famous also for giving up the home run to Aaron Boone, and that Game 7. But then the next year, the Red Sox come back, win the World Series. So, big loser of the news week there with Tim Wakefield getting that news. So, Brian, next week, we'll probably be taking a break. Like I said, we might do a little reaction shows here over the span, but I think it'll be good for our podcast just to take a little reboot, kind of get ourselves. I've been doing the show for, I want to say 3 years now. And I mean, I don't usually take any weeks off. We've done it not always on Sundays. We've kind of done it on Other's Day. We took 2 weeks off, I think. We've done a few on Monday and kind of done some emergency pods. But just with all the other shows going on right now, I think I'm going to take a break from this one for a little bit. We'll kind of refocus on it and hopefully come back stronger than ever. I'm ready to go, remotivated, refreshed. And I kind of want to do a little bit more look backs more consistently too. So that's something I want to get more organized as well. So I appreciate you doing the journey with me, my friend. And we'll be back on in probably late October, maybe early November.
Yeah, I mean, it's just, people get busier. They just need a break from doing stuff sometimes. So we'll definitely be back. So.
Yeah. And I think that's the thing, right? Sometimes you just you don't want to, you kind of want to always be reliable and show. That's kind of how my mentality is. I just want to always be there for everybody in my own mind. That's how I'm thinking. But I'm I just need a little break with it. So I just need a break. And so I don't know what to say. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to take a month off with it, and we'll just kind of come back. Like I said, maybe some short little videos here or there, some emergency pods, especially if we're starting to get the Warriors or get some other crazy stuff that happens. If we read a McCaffrey trade like we had last year, of course, we do something there. So appreciate all the support we've had over the time here, and hopefully you guys will be back with us when we're back as well. we'll be, like I said, refreshed, ready to go, and be ready for, I guess season 2 maybe we'll call it. Hopefully every season won't be 3 years. That's the way we'll do it. So for Brian Johnson, I'm Darren Breyer. We'll see you tonight on Talking the Gridiron. Peace.
All right, peace.
Hey, this is Brandon, CEO of the Variety Sports Network. Thank you again for watching tonight's show. Best way you can support us is by hitting that subscribe button, that like button, and hitting the notifications so you don't miss out on the next show right here on the Variety Sports Network.